Welcome to the Lituation, bringing goal setting situations to light with me, Charlie, the G.O.A.L Digger. It is 7 o'clock. This is a Sunday evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you, if this is your first time at the Lituation, we bring goal setting situations to light. And the aim of the Lituation right now is to give platforms and opportunities for people of all ages, man, from all across the world, give them a platform so that they can share goal setting techniques, goal setting advice, and goal setting tips, for anybody and for people who really need to set goals in different areas of their life. I am excited for today's session because this session is going to be super, super awesome. I'm speaking to none other than my ex life orientation teacher. I'm kind of dressed like an angel today. I got on the white shirt, just for that reason over there, because I need to make sure that I'm on, looking very, very nice for my teacher over there. She has been awesome. And I have so many, stories that I can speak about, in a class. And there's just so much, man. I had the most funniest experiences in a class. But all in all, she is, an awesome teacher. She's an awesome teacher and an awesome human being as well. And we've walked a little bit of a journey together as well, and I am really excited to speak to her today because she is not only a teacher, but she is a friend to me. She is, a guardian, a guardian in that way, to me as well. And I just want to introduce her. But before I do that, for all the people that are tuning in, please feel free to ask some questions in the comments over there. Please feel free, to ask Miss Mom some questions, whether they be strict and formal questions or just informal questions. Also leave us some comments, and also show us some love on the interview there. She's an awesome person. Show me some love too if you want to show me some love. I'm Charlie, the G.O.A.L Digger. This is the Lituation. We are on the lookout for some likes, man. We are hustling to get some likes and follows, on our new YouTube channel that we started called The Lituation South Africa. Please go and check out some videos that we've done so far over there. I think there's about 3 up so far, and they've been awesome, and they've been a learning curve, for me personally, and also a good platform for the people that are, busy just speaking, goal setting tips and advice, man, is speaking from their lives also. So, check out the Lituation South Africa on YouTube. We also have a Lituation library called at the Lituation Library on Instagram. So that's the Lituation over there. And then we have our Facebook page, which is going live right now. And then me, Charlie, the G.O.A.L Digger, I have a TikTok page called at Charlie, the Gold Digger. Please go and follow me over there. And yeah, I have Instagram as well at Charlie, the G.O.A.L Digger. Nonetheless, let me hop in and introduce my, ex-LO teacher, my ex-life orientation teacher. Miss Mohamed, are you ready for this interview? Okay. Yes, I'm Charlie the Gold Digger. Ma'am, I'm going to throw you up on the screen right now, but I thought I needed to give you a proper introduction. I'm the only one that can hear you at the moment. I thought I would give you a proper introduction because you're not just an educator. The lady that I'm going to introduce right now, she's the grade head of life skills, right? So I have all of these notes written down. She's the grade head of life skills and also the head of interaction. She's an interactive teacher. She has 34 years, 34, man, years of experience in education. I think that is amazing. That's a lot of years of experience in this career and in this field of education. So she has 34 years of experience in education, and also 20 of those years has been spent teaching science, and the rest of those years has been spent, with life skills and being a life skills teacher and an English teacher. So, I want to leave it at that. I want to leave it at that with the former. I think I should give Miss Mohamed, the opportunity to really introduce herself. Miss Mohamed, how are you?
Hi, I'm
How are
good,
you?
thank you. How are you?
I am super, super well. I'm doing very, very well. Can you beat my introduction? Do you want to extend on my introduction and let the people know who you are, who Miss Mohamed is?
Charlton, you said what I told you to say, but I think that I think mainly I would like to add that as a young person, little girl, I used to teach my nieces, my cousins, and
Mhm.
everybody said you will become a teacher. She's going to be a teacher one day. And to this day, that's all I want to do. I want to acquire knowledge and then transfer it all the time. I don't think people find me painful in that way, but I'm always looking for ways to make things simpler, to live life simpler and to
Mm-hmm.
be happier. And so even as a science teacher, I would bring in life skills. So I was teaching atoms and molecules and reactions and, the periodic
Okay.
table and biology and so on, but always looked for opportunities to teach life skills. Because I think even as a child, I've always searched for how to be happy. How can I be happy and how can I
Mm-hmm.
achieve my goals? Um, so that has been a lifelong journey of mine, trying to find a simplistic way to live life. Um, but, and yeah, yes, I spent 20 years teaching science, and I don't really think my forte was science, even though
Mm-hmm.
it lay a wonderful foundation for everything else I've done besides science. Like I've taught English, which was a major when I was a student, and life skills, which was an honors degree I did through UNISA. And then when I started a master's degree, I was working on policy in education, which was like
Mm-hmm.
completely far removed from life skills, from science, from English, and I really didn't like it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, as an educator, I really am an educator. I'm not an administration kind of person, like an administrator. I'm an educator.
Nice.
So, and I think that has been, a lifelong thing of mine. It's come up in every aspect of my life. I'm always looking for ways to improve myself and help others improve themselves. So I think that is where really my strength lies.
Mhm. I've always had this fascination when it came to educators, and just me being out of school. When I turned 19, I was still busy and interactive in high schools when it came to working there. With young people and trying to change their mindsets. And stuff like that. And I've really just, when it comes to education and educators in general, teachers, I've always wondered where they get their energy from, where they get their, I don't know, the stamina from it to be there from early in the morning and still give class until like late afternoon. That's a lot of speaking. That's a lot of, dealing with different type of personalities. And I've always wanted to know, where that journey started and why somebody chose that journey, as an educator. Do you mind letting the listeners know why, where that journey started for you, like your decision making to saying, yes, I'm going to be an educator, where that started for you and how it has grown, into being a full-on passion and that you are still busy in education?
Yeah, so I would say that it is a passion. And
Hmm.
probably my foundation is that I love children. I just love young
Yeah, that
people.
has to be.
I
Mhm.
love very small, yeah, I love very small children. I can spend so much time with them and just enjoy them. And then I love teenagers. And so most of my teaching has been with teenagers. And I would say for me, where do I get my energy? I must be honest, if I knew what I know now, I would have had even more energy.
Hmm.
If I
Okay.
knew then, when I started teaching, what I know now, I'd have more energy and more passion. But I think I was born with a passion to educate. So remember, I am in my 50s. We grew up in the time of apartheid. So we didn't have many opportunities to explore other occupations. And
Hmm.
if you wanted to go into another profession, there were so many barriers. And so
Hmm.
I think for colored and black people during my time when I was growing up and
Hmm.
when I was choosing a career, teaching and nursing were the obvious choices. So for
Hmm.
me, it just worked out perfectly, that I became a teacher. But during the time that we were making career choices, there weren't many options. But that's where my journey started. My professional journey started when I was at high school and I was chosen to do a teacher's diploma. But
Oh, nice.
like I said, I love children, which is where my natural affinity for teaching comes in. And I do have this passion to improve lives. So that is where I get my energy to go through the entire day. And then the third thing I must say to you, when even before I became a parent, I used to see myself as a parent in the class. You know, I'm the mommy in the class.
Mm-hmm.
You know that at school, I used to complain to my own mother. You know, the children come to me for a needle to put a hem in a skirt because the hem came out of the skirt. They look for a pin to pin their pants because the zip broke. And my mom said they see you as a mother. You know, so I've always seen myself as a mother teacher, teacher mother. So this thing about children, that's my natural, you know, my innate passion.
Nice. That is
Yeah,
awesome. That
yeah,
is awesome.
that's where it started for me. My love for teaching, and yeah, and
I think that is perfect.
go ahead, Charlton.
I think that is awesome. You know, I've always wanted to know, and I'm sure there's so many different stories that also come out of the experience and that journey and that walk. You know, out of from not being an educator and starting that journey. I'm sure you see a lot. I'm sure a lot happens. You know, if I can tell you this story, Miss, my first experience working in a school, like actually being there as a training junior life coach, I actually got punched in the face by a girl while they were having like a little bit of a brawl, and I tried to stop the fight, and I just got swung in the face,
Mm,
and that for me was like a little bit of not a shock, but it was a little bit of okay, cool. You in a school, you're working with young people, and things might happen. So that experience for me was super, different, but it was still an awesome experience for me as well because I learned to deal with conflict. I learned to then be in that situation in a class and also try to handle it as careful as possible because there's certain things that you can do as somebody that's working there under authority. There's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do when it comes to the education system and how you treat learners and how you treat teachers and things like that. So that was an experience for me. Is there any experience that you have, Miss, that you will say was like your highlight or something in education that you can say this was the highlight for my education journey thus far?
I think my most frightening highlight was when I was teaching science at a school in the city centre in Cape Town, and the learner wanted to be threatening. Was fighting with another learner, and when I tried to intervene, the learner wanted to threaten me too. And I remember feeling very stoic in that moment, very strong and defiant, but I didn't say anything. I just prayed all the time so that the child would get out of my face. So that for me was also, like you said, a wake-up call because situations can get like that. On another occasion, I think for me, I've never really highlighted the negative, darker experiences of working with young people because I do recognize that they are when you're teenage years, it's your most hormonal time in your life, unless you get to my age and you go through menopause, then you go through another set of hormonal changes,
That
or
should
when
be
you're
way
pregnant.
different.
But when teenagers are, they're so emotionally charged that as an educator, I've not really felt threatened by it. Because I normally am quite chilled when learners are become charged emotionally. So that for me was a scary moment. I won't forget it ever. Because this learner came, walked down the classroom, stormed down the classroom to me with a leather belt in his hand.
Crazy,
He had taken
crazy.
his belt out of his pants and he was that is scary. And so nobody knew who his target was. But I just stared at him. And like I said, I prayed about it. I prayed that God must protect us. And he left. He left the classroom. But it could have gotten out of control. And then, but Gardens Commercial High School is where I am, where you were, your
Yeah.
alma mater, has been good. It's a good school. In terms
Very
of the
brilliant
learners are
school.
very respectful. most of them. Yes. And so I don't really think I've had many of those. And I don't even remember them if I have had them.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember the great things, the wonderful things, because you see in learners, when you're a teacher, it's a wonderful opportunity. You get this amazing perspective. You see children, the beauty in them, you see their talents, you see their skills, you see their, like I always knew, even at school, when you were at school, Charlton, that you
Mm-hmm.
would change lives as a young adult and going into your future, you would change lives. I
Oh,
knew
that's
that about
awesome.
you. Um, yeah, so I knew, and remember I said to you, give yourself about 10 years because it's been proven through research that
Mm-hmm.
anybody working on a particular career will gain enough experience within a period of 10 years to make a huge success of it. And
Mm-hmm.
I know how you've had to, trod, is that the word?
Yep.
Through
Stride
this
and
journey,
yep.
try, yes, fix and amend and change young lives. I mean, that is why I chose you to be my son's mentor, because I know you come from a very solid foundation, your values and
Mm-hmm.
so on. So that's the best part of teaching. I think that is what I love about teaching, the inspiration you get as an educator when you see your learners and their amazing abilities. And
And
it's
the
like
accomplishments.
natural abilities
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I
the
think.
accomplishments. And then they go on and they
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry for interrupting you. Then
I
I think it's just awesome, to see that there are teachers that are looking beyond, and looking beyond the learner actually. And I feel like sometimes that is not seen in the moment. For me sitting here and hearing from you now that you've seen, me being somebody that's going to be changing lives before I even knew. To be honest, at the time I wasn't. My mind was not there when I was in school. I loved people. I loved working and being, busy with young people, but it wasn't really a passion at the time. And to know that there was a teacher, that maybe saw that for me beforehand, is amazing as well. And I'm sure that there's so many other teachers. That gives me confidence now that there's so many other teachers also that might be there for a reason, also there with an intention to make a difference, and not just only make the difference there, but kind of see the vision and see the difference in those young people, which gives me some awesome hope over there. Guys,
and
I
I'm
just
glad if they, Charlton,
Mhm,
I'm glad if there are young teachers listening to this, because I
mhm,
think when you're a young teacher, you are overwhelmed by the amount of work, and it's a cultural shock going into a classroom, and suddenly you are faced with 30 to 40 children. But really,
mhm,
the beauty of teaching is that every child is a living soul, and that soul is in your hands, given to
mhm,
you by God to to make to to make an impact,
mhm. I definitely understand.
you know.
Miss Mohammed, on that topic there, right? So the next kind of phase that I want to touch on right now is we got our youngsters, right? We got our learners that are facing so many different things when it comes to school. I feel like there's just they just bombarded with different challenges and circumstances, whether it's internal, like stuff that they can control, their mental health and things like that, and their physical health. But then also from external factors, things that are happening in our country at the moment, which is the pandemic that's on the move. That's also still busy happening. There's things like the environments that they grow up in, and things like that. And I've always struggled to get a whole, like, just general picture of the average student. But I know that that's impossible because there's so much diversity across this country alone. So, but I feel like there's still certain topics, and certain sections of school and of education that young people do have in common. And I think one of them are, competitiveness when it comes to the education marks. I feel like that is one aspect that I feel like young people are very busy with, competitive to get the highest marks. And then, some things might affect the self-esteem for those kids that don't make it. And they also have a passion, they also have a talent, they also have a purpose. But because of that little competition, and they might lose that competition marks wise in terms of the marks that they get onto the reports. What advice would you give to that young person that is looking at school in a competitive sense to be better, or to prove that they are something, to not only their schools and not only to their parents, not only to their peers, but also to themselves? What advice would you give to those young people?
In terms of what, like, your screen is completely frozen now. Do you still see me?
Yes, I still see you.
Charlton?
I still see you. I can see you.
Okay, all right. So it's fine. So I want to tell you that that is a struggle that we all face, even as you grow older. You face competition, and it's difficult when you're young to feel like you are not good enough, or you can't achieve certain marks, or somebody else is always achieving better, or you can't keep your marks constantly good. Because there are varying factors. There are lots of things. There's social things, economic factors,
Yep.
social factors, like at home you might not have the resources. You don't have the internet to do the research that you need to do. You have a house full of people, and they there's noise pollution. You can't focus on your schoolwork. There might not be money for you to go to school every day of the week, and
Yes.
you miss out sometimes. Like, you might have a learning block, or you might not be interested in a particular subject. There could be, you just have low self-esteem, right? There could be people in your life bullying you, making you feel inadequate.
That is a big one.
It could be happening in the classroom. It could be happening in the class. It could be happening with a teacher making you feel like the teacher embarrassing you, or making you feel uncomfortable, or the teacher never acknowledging you. So, these are the reasons people feel unimportant. And everybody has this desire to feel valued, to feel important,
Yes.
to feel validated. So, for me, it has taken a lifetime to learn how to validate myself, and how to love myself, and how to be comfortable with my idiosyncrasies, with my oddities, the things that are odd about me. It's taken me a long time, and I think we all face bullying, because the outsider, the one who looks different, the one who behaves differently, the one who doesn't do maths as well as the others, the one who does very good at English, very, very good at literature, can analyze the poem even before the teacher has done it. The outsider is always feeling like they need to fit in. They need to do something to fit in. And so my advice to everybody is this: just, it's hard to, maybe after we've done our goal section, of this talk, you will understand how important you are in this whole expanse of life, how important your role is. And not to compete or compare yourself to others, but to run your own race, to run it at your pace, at what is the best pace for you. And, to network and look for answers and ask questions. And it's so important to be true to yourself. But we'll speak about that later on.
Okay.
And so young people who are facing challenges like that, they must listen to the next part of this talk.
Yep, definitely. Ms. Mohamed, I'm just going to take a quick little, break just to let the people know where we are at. We are at the Lituation Live. I am with high school teacher and grade 8 also, Ms. Najma Mohamed. She is my ex-high school teacher. She was my allo educator. I think I was a good boy in the class, so I feel like I was a very, very good boy. Miss Mohammed, I have a very good compliment from you from one of the people that are tuned into the live. Parrot deploy. He says, "Wow, great." Great thoughts, Najma. If a teacher sees a child's soul, then it is a calling and not a career. Well done. So I think that is very, very true. I think that is very, very
Thank
true. If
you. Thank you.
if you
Yes.
see it as, yeah, it's very, very true. And then from Mpoke Kana, I think I have a question. I might have a question. Let me just read out the comment for you. It's pretty long. But it says, now that we are facing the COVID-19 spread in the country and the whole world, the education system affected by the situation, then how will it affect the teaching methods, patterns, classroom teachings, teacher age? It must be difficult. I think so too. I think the pandemic does create a little bit of, let's not say chaos, but some challenges when it comes to the education at the moment, especially with classroom teachings.
Yes. Do you want me
Mm-hmm.
to answer that? Definitely. I think
Mm-hmm.
the biggest challenge has been suddenly learners were thrust into an environment of online learning. And, before the pandemic, children were being managed by their teachers, and suddenly you were at university and you were only 6 years old and 8 years old, where you had to manage your own education with the help of your parents. So that has been a big challenge. I know that my 16-year-old, um, he passed and is in grade 11 now, but half the time he was on his phone doing other things instead of
Mm-hmm.
schoolwork.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which
so,
is a challenge for most.
it was a challenge to manage their time, and to self-manage that thing. I mean, they haven't had enough time to make the transition from being managed by a teacher to managing yourself. Because
Yep.
obviously your parents work, your parents have other things, your parents don't know the curriculum, they don't know the quickest ways to learn it. And then
Mm-hmm.
the biggest challenge has been that the learners didn't have the access to data to get their lessons online. So
Uh-huh.
there's this huge number of children, and the Department of Education knows this, who didn't get the work, and
Mm-hmm.
didn't get the instruction. I taught all my lessons, all my life skills lessons, online, and my learners did very, very well. And
Nice.
I think, they did very well. But I think that even some of them struggled, and they struggled mainly with life orientation, which isn't as complicated as mathematics and physics and accounting and so on. Life orientation, was still a problem for some learners because they didn't have data. So those are the two things. They were thrust into self-management, and
Mm-hmm.
then also parents weren't earning money. They didn't have access to data. I felt like if we wanted to do anything, I hope somebody from the education department is listening. If they
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to do something for education, it would have been to give every household with school going children data, like
Yep.
Wi Fi, unlimited.
I think that would
That
have
would
been
have been
powerful. That would have cut out so many stresses for a lot of
awesome,
parents. Yep, that would have been.
right? So it's only again those learners that come from an environment where there's enough money for Wi-Fi, unlimited, or for
Mhm.
fiber, and those are the children who had access, and they could manage, through the lessons. They could watch the lessons whenever they wanted to. They could
Mhm.
rewind the lessons. They could do revision. So I tried to accommodate my learners. I taught to the person who asked the question. I taught short 2-minute sessions. So I'd post a picture on WhatsApp of
Mhm.
what I'm going to be teaching, and for 2 minutes I explain a concept, and then I post another voice note for 2-3 minutes, no longer than 3 minutes, because then I
Yep,
know
thank you.
learners can actually access the work.
Mhm.
So it was a
Yep,
challenge, and it's going to continue.
yep, it's
It's
going to.
continuing this year.
Yeah,
Yes.
hopefully it gets a bit, easier. Hopefully the education department, somebody from the, hears this interview and maybe brings that idea forth. I think that will be super awesome. We have another comment over here from Nazli Ismail that says, "Good evening to you, Miss Mohammed." And then also the guy who asked the question just before this, his name was Mpoke Kane. He also gave a little bit of a quote over there saying, he who learns teaches. I think that one is very powerful as well. He who learns teaches.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
so we are at the lituation. Always we bring goal setting situations to light, and we always like to speak goal setting. So Miss Mohammed has came to me with something different, a different way of goal setting, and I was very intrigued by it. I would like Miss Mohammed to just go into it and explain to the people a different type of goal setting, the one that you are using in your life, and also let's dig into it and see how it can actually work for somebody else who's interested in using this type of goal setting technique.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Charlton. So I'm
You're
very
welcome.
excited about this. And I don't want to mess it up because it's such a simple way of setting goals and such a simple way of achieving things that I don't want to make it sound complicated. So I'm going to do my
Okay.
very best to make it as simple as it is. So, guys, when the moment you're born, the moment you come into this world,
Mm-hmm.
you have the right to be happy and fulfilled and achieve your goals and achieve the things you long to have. You have the right to be happy. So for all those people who feel or are sad and depressed and lonely and beating themselves up and feeling regret or feeling anger, um, I want you to know that from the moment you come into this world, the moment your soul enters this life, um, this material world, you have the right to be happy. Okay, so that's the first step. So don't
Yeah,
think
the right to be
you're
happy.
destined. You're destined for unhappiness, or you're destined to be sad, or you're destined to be a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're destined to be a success. Okay, so that's the
Nice.
first step.
Powerful.
Now, yeah. So now the thing is, for most of us, we have this misconception about goals. And I want to go straight into what I've been learning and what I've been applying in my life. And since December, I put it into action, and it's just been the easiest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they in the Bible and the Quran and all the scriptures, God says
Mm-hmm.
to us, we must ask Him. Ask, believe, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll receive. So Charlton, if you wanted to just put up that
Okay.
picture of ask, believe, receive. You
Okay.
got it?
Ask. Yep. It's on there right now. Okay.
Okay. But can your viewers still hear me?
Yeah, the viewers can still hear you. I'm sure they can still hear you.
Okay.
So,
So
mhm,
that verse or that concept comes from the scriptures, comes from the Bible, right? And in Islam, from Matthew in the Bible. So
mhm,
in Islam, we are also taught that we must what we believe God to be, that is who He is. So we must think of God or have a concept of God that is great, that God is a good God, that is a
mhm,
wonderful God, that He loves us and He wants us to be happy. You have to have that concept of God, whoever God is to you. If God is Jesus, God is in Christianity, the Holy Trinity. In Islam, there is no God but Allah.
mhm,
So in Islam, it is Allah. Whoever God is to you, we know it is one God. It is the same God, the same
mhm,
Heavenly Father that created all of us. So it's the same God. And this God wants us to be happy. This God wants us to live our fullest potential. And He
mhm,
knows what our fullest potential is. We don't know it, but He does. So He knows exactly how great you can be. And this really is the journey of life, discovering how great you can be.
mhm.
So
That is so
ask,
true, Miss.
believe, yeah, ask, believe, receive. So I want you to put up the vortex.
Okay.
Charlton? Okay.
Okay. That's
So
up
the
over there.
vortex, your viewers, right, they can see this very powerful center with lots of light. And then the light diminishes as you move out of the vortex. And the vortex is that part of the tornado or the whirlpool that has the most energy. The eye of the tornado. So I
Just
want
the
to
middle
use the
section.
general term. Have you got it?
Yep.
I want to use the general term, the vortex. But the vortex, if you look at all the scriptures again, it is that space where you are closest to God, where you are the most connected to God. Where in Islam we will say you are in Allah's light. In Christianity you'll say you're walking with Jesus. So
Yep.
that's where you are in the very power, where the power of creation is, right? When things are manifested, it is that thing, the vortex. So I'm going to use the general term, the vortex. Now this, since you hear me speaking from a sort of
Religious.
religious point of view, these are Abrahamic
Okay. I think we might have just lost Miss Mohammed just for a little bit over there, guys. I think there might just be a little bit of a problem with Miss Mohammed's connection. Miss, are you back? Are you back? Okay, perfect.
Okay, so where did we miss? All right, so these are Abrahamic teachings. So you can go and Google this. The concept of being close to God and then achieving your goals. So now we get into the nitty-gritty. The
Okay.
ask part, the asking, right, is when you say, God, I'd love whatever. I'd love to be better at maths. Or God,
Uh-huh.
I'd love school to be a really productive place for me because I tend to waste my time at school. I talk in class during the breaks. I don't print things. I don't, I don't do enough with my time at school. Or you have a desire like you'd like a car by the time you turn 18. You'd like to have your driver's license as soon as you can have it, your legal age, and you'd love to have a car within that same year, right? And the university you'd like to attend is Stellenbosch University because you heard it's such a cool university. So let's say these are your goals, right? And goals can be short term, which is up to a year, right? And the medium term is up to 3 years. Your goal will take you 3 years. So like if you're in grade 10, your medium term goal would be to pass grade 12 with a university exemption, with university acceptance, right? That's a medium term goal. A long term goal would take over 3 years. So by the time I'm 25, I'm 18 now, by the time I'm 25, I'd love to be a chartered accountant, or I want to have traveled the whole of Europe, and so on. So those are long-term goals. So your goals can be achieved.
Yep.
And this is the part that we as humans, we we question ourselves a lot when it comes to our goals, right? But God is saying to us, or the universe, or the source of all energy or power, whatever God is to you, is saying, ask me, because I'm the one that created this entire universe. I can make anything happen. So ask, and then you must believe, and then you'll receive. So everybody thinks, okay, so this is the mistake we all make. We all want to jump to the receive part. Okay, so Ms. Mohamed, you said, I must ask, and now why isn't it there? Why hasn't it arrived? So the second part of this process, which is believe, is to me, the most exciting part. It's probably for a newcomer. I've been doing this work for a long, long time, working on myself for a long time. But for a newcomer who's discovered what Ms. Mohamed is speaking about here is me, not my family, not my teachers, to those young people who are threatened by bullies and so on. Ms. Mohamed is speaking about me. So those people are coming into this conversation for the very first time. I'm saying to you, the believe part is all about you, not about anybody else. So the belief part is that part of the process. Remember, it's a three-step process to achieving your goals. You're asking and you're waiting to receive. But the belief part is so interesting and so exciting and
Yep.
so wonderful, because then you get to know yourself and you get to know human beings while you wait for your car that you're going to get when you are 18 years old, you know? So, and I
Yep.
know that it sounds all dreamy and so on, but this is how people achieve their goals. Okay, so let's speak about the belief part. Now, children, I'd like you to put up the emotional guidance scale.
The emotional guidance scale. Okay.
Okay, so guys, now you have this goal to have a car, a lovely car. You can choose the car you want. You don't want a car that's going to break down every week. Okay, so a nice car when you turn 18. So this is what you need to do. You need to make sure that this request that you have of God is in your head. Your thoughts are are complementing this goal of yours.
Oh,
Your
that's
heart,
powerful.
which is the seat, really, the seat of your emotions, your heart feels it, right? Your actions speak it. You're already
Mm.
looking at cars in the newspaper. You're already looking at Cape ads for good quality second-hand cars. You could even look for new cars, but I'm just saying, let's sort of dream small. And then
Uh-huh.
you're already asking people about driving schools, and you're starting to act out your goal. So your thoughts, your heart, your feelings, and
Mm-hmm.
your actions and your choices must all be aligned with your goal, no matter how small the goal is. Whether it be tomorrow, I want to have an easy day. Somebody who's got lots of pain, they maybe suffer from an illness where they have lots of pain. Tomorrow, I want to have no pain for the day. So your entire psyche, your mind, your body, your soul, your actions, your choices must all indicate that your day will be pain free tomorrow. Remember, this is the second step of the three-step process.
Mm-hmm.
So, the emotional guidance scale is such an important chart. I actually started making copies, and I know I'm plagiarizing here, for the teachers in my grade, the grade 10 teachers, because I explained the system to them, and I gave one of the teachers her emotional guidance scale already. So basically, it's this: you have to foster good feelings, to
Mm-hmm.
be in the vortex where your dreams can become a reality, where your goals can become a reality. And good feelings like positivity, optimism, hope, joy,
Yep, those are
passion.
good. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read some of it. Contentment, right?
Yep.
Hopefulness,
Contentment is 7.
enthusiasm, passion. You need to have those things and stay on top of the emotional guidance scale. The closer you are to the top of the emotional guidance scale, where you have a lot of passion, we have a lot of appreciation, because appreciation is one of the ways in which you can get into the vortex very quickly. To be grateful
Be
that,
grateful.
God,
Yep.
I don't have that car, but I have a beautiful home that is not a top billing home, but it's a comfortable home. I have Wi-Fi. We all use one computer, but we have Wi-Fi. Or we don't have Wi-Fi, but my mom was able to buy us a a data stick, whatever you call those things, and we
Uh-huh.
can use it for this evening. And we're watching Charlie, the what's it, Gold
The-
Digger, um, and we are able to do that. That's the quickest way to get into the vortex. So, fostering those positive emotions while you wait for your goals and your dreams to come true. So, it's not like, oh, I want this car, so I need to stay positive about the car. No, every aspect of your life must reflect positivity. The way you treat people, the way you react to conflict, the way you go to bed at night. There must
Mm.
be, okay, if you look at the bottom of the scale, no frustration, no doubt, no anxiety and worry. Because the
Yep.
minute you are anxious, will I ever get this car? No, I don't think so. The
Start
minute you
doubting
start to worry,
yourself.
the minute you start, you're doubting, you're not believing anymore.
Hmm.
Just remember the second step is believe.
Yep.
And so all the work I've done through the years on this thing called the law of attraction has shown me that all the great achievers of the world, and I think I might have told you guys when you were in my love orientation classes, that
Hmm.
all the great achievers of the world, this is the system they use. So even if they don't believe in God, a God, a spiritual God, they believe in energy, or they believe in power. They
Hmm.
believe that if I set an intention, right? So if you ask any famous person or any high achiever, or what advice do you have for young people, they will say, stick to your goals, stick to your dreams, never doubt
Yep.
yourself,
They
believe in
always give that
yourself,
advice. Yep, that's true.
always give that advice. And they will say, it will happen eventually, right? Now, I'm saying that it will happen sooner than you think if you manage your emotional or your emotions. Let's put it that way. If you manage your emotions and you don't doubt and you don't have anxiety and you don't worry and you don't do things like blame people if something doesn't work out properly and
Hmm.
just run with the flow. This thing is called flow, because when God says ask, then all you need to do is let this thing flow into your life. But it can't flow into your life if you put blockages there and you create um, disturbances. You must
And this
allow the flow,
and
you know,
distractions also.
right. And so this is the amazing part of the second step that I love so much when people speak about. Don't tell other people your goals. Don't tell people your dreams and goals and your achievements,
Hmm.
because then you jinx your goals and you jinx your achievements. It's
Hmm.
just that when people come into the equation, so to all those young people who have a lot low self esteem and who are doubting themselves and who feel battered and abused and feel bullied, to all those people, the minute people come into your space, then they sometimes they corrupt the flow, because they will say
Hmm.
things like, "You want a car at 18, but you can't even you don't even do your schoolwork.
Yep.
So who's going to give you a car? You're dreaming, you're crazy."
Hmm.
So the minute you tell people your dreams and your goals, and they're not on this wavelength that we are on now, on the lituation, they're
Hmm.
not on this wavelength, this way of achieving your goals, then they might just put a spoke in the wheels.
Yep.
In the wheel that's turning, they'll put a spoke into it. So that is the reason the older generations used to say, don't tell everybody what you're doing, because then they will put doubt into your mind. So that's one of the things. And one of the other things I love about this process is that because you're constantly checking your emotions, right?
Hmm.
You're constantly checking your emotions. You don't want to fall down to the bottom of the scale. If I look at the bottom of the scale, rage, revenge, anger, insecurity, guilt, you
Depression,
don't want to
fear,
feel those feelings. Yeah,
not at all.
because you don't want to feel those feelings. And because you are constantly striving to be at the top of the scale with your
Hmm.
emotions, you are living in the moment. People speak about living in the moment, wake
Yep.
up and smell the coffee, live in the moment, right? Is watching your emotions. And that is why I said to you, this is the simplest thing I've ever come across. Maybe I have never understood it like I understand it now. And I'd like to say this to all these young people. So many of us, we smoke weed and we do drugs and we drink
Hmm.
alcohol and you have indiscriminate sex, to
Hmm.
feel better, to sort of
Yep.
escape things that are not good in your life. All you need to do is get into the vortex. All you need to do is manage your emotions. and not let anybody, not anybody, rob you of your positive emotions.
Yep. Always
It's
keep your
as
emotions
simple
in
as
check.
that, right? It's as simple as that. And I don't know if you were in one of my classes where if I ever did meditation with you guys, but I did, I think.
Not that I can
I
remember.
didn't.
No. No.
Okay,
Not,
man.
not that. Not that I can remember.
That's so unfair of me. But in these meditation groups, we would just breathe. One of the easiest, quickest way to get into a positive space is to go and just settle everything in your body. You literally settle your whole system when you breathe. So the quickest way to get from rage and anger and jealousy and frustration and anxiety is to breathe. The quickest
Breathe.
way, right? To get back into the vortex. But like my quick way to get into the vortex is because I'm Muslim. So I would say, La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. So when I feel angry, like, somebody drives in front of me on the highway or whatever, and I want to shout, you idiot or whatever, I end up immediately saying La ilaha illallah, not because I'm the super religious person, but it gets me back into a positive space. So
Get you
I
back to where
try
you
to
need
be
to be. Yep.
right. And I don't allow anybody to rob me anymore. And it's been 2 months, 2.5 months that I've worked on the system, and consistently, I've kept this thing going because it's the easiest thing to do. To think about the emotional guidance scale. If I want to be in the vortex where magic happens, where dreams are made, where the world was created from, if I want to be there, then I will manage my emotions because that's an amazing payoff. If you want your dreams to be achieved, you must believe that you have the capacity to make it happen. And the only way you're going to get there is to harbor positive emotions. So anything else is going to take me away from achieving my goals. So I don't want to feel negativity. I don't want
Yep.
to be angry. I don't want to feel frustration. Like at the moment, this is an amazing thing. At the moment, there's somebody in my professional career who is kind of in a way bullying me. And
Okay.
it's amazing how, yes, yeah, you get bullying in the adult world, in your job sphere, you get bullying. And believe it or not, it hasn't affected me at all. And just a few months ago, it would have eaten at me. I would have gone to another educator, like, everybody knows Mr. Furphy at Gardens Commercial High School. He's like a
Yeah. Shout
mentor
out to
to a
Mr.
lot of us.
Fluffy. Yep.
Yeah, I would go to him and say, this and that. I've felt no need to magnify somebody else's bad behavior towards me. No need. Because if I'm going to magnify that, you know, I'm going to be pushing my energy in that direction. No way. Nobody is going to have that kind of power over me because all I want is to be happy and to be at peace and to achieve my goals. And the only way I'm going to get there is by harboring positive emotions and by being in the vortex. And nobody's in the vortex 90%, 100% of the time. But I've discovered when you are in the vortex, when you are in that positive space, you don't feel a lot of pain. You don't feel low self-esteem. You don't
True.
feel lonely. You don't feel angry. You feel the best you can feel. People go on spiritual journeys to get into the vortex. I mean, you can sit in your bedroom and be in the vortex. I
Yep. And
remember a
have a
group of
spiritual
learners, I used to
experience.
say to
Yep.
them, yeah, and the easiest way, like I've said to you, is breathe. Just breathe, center yourself. And if you're a Christian, you can say, thank you, God. That's it. Just thank
Yep.
you, God. And when you're in that space, then there's this philosophy that says milk the situation, suck out of it whatever you can and say, thank you, God, and just get into the vibe of being positive.
Yep.
And then,
Get
when you're
that
in that
energy
vibe, you can
going.
ask God anything.
Yep. That is true. And
Right.
when you get your
And
answer,
then you,
when you get your answer, it's always an amazing feeling. It's always an amazing feeling to know that there is some sort of agreement or alignment in the universe or in the space that you're working at, especially spiritually. Spiritually, it's always an amazing feeling to speak something, especially to ask, for something, ask in prayer, and to get and to actually receive it once you believe and that you complete that whole process, because that's where you are tested. For me, coming from my perspective, I feel like that's where you are tested. Once you ask for it, the test comes now is, do you believe that what you ask for will be received? And that might take 3 months, that might take you 2 years, that might be your plan to get it at 25, whatever your goal is. And you might not reach it. You might have a goal to reach at the age of 30, and you might not reach it. But that believing part is where the trust comes in, I feel, also. So that's very powerful. Sorry for chipping in, Miss. I'm super inspired by what you were saying right now, and it's just stirring up so much questions and stuff that I have. So yeah, you can continue.
What I want to disagree with you now when you said maybe when I'm 25. Okay. I've discovered it can come to you as soon as tomorrow, next month, depending on how in alignment you are with that thing. Because the minute you ask for it, it is coming to existence. In fact, it is there. It is there. It's there for the taking. It is up to you to align yourself with it. Your mind, your body, your soul. I was speaking earlier on about drug use and looking for a high, looking for high in other ways. I really believe that all you need to do is get into the vortex. You don't need a high ever again. You won't ever feel lonely again. You won't ever feel inferior to others, because you will know, I can get to where the magic is. I know that place now. Do you know what I'm saying? You literally have an edge over others. Do you agree?
A natural high, definitely a natural high. And I feel like, that can go for a lot of people that are stuck in that situation where they have things that they want to let go of, and things that they know is bothering them and distracting them, and those type of things are a challenge sometimes to get off your out of yourself. And I feel like that practical advice also needs to be there when it comes to this, dealing with something like that. When it comes to an addiction, I think just that process alone takes more of an effort, just from my experience and the people that I've spoken to also, in my journey, is like that to get rid of something is not really that easy, unless there is a practical way for them to know, okay, this is where I need to go and this is how I need to do that. Is there a practical way where there's like a step one? We already discussed step one, which is ask, and so I feel like they need to know from step one again, Miss, like how to actually just start this thing short, and how to go ahead and be practical about it, basically, is what I'm saying. Because I feel like sometimes there is questions, sometimes there is doubt, sometimes the doubt is so overpowerful that you might just not achieve the thing that you set out to achieve. You feel like you were believing it, you feel like it was there, and then it doesn't happen. So that might just affect the goal, then the way that they look at this way of goal setting, the perspective that they look at it. Because now it's like, it never works, so boom. I feel like there needs to be some sort of practical way for them to realize, like, this is the way to set this goal.
Actually, the Abrahamic teachings tell you that the vortex, this place where God is, where the universe was created from, this place of creation, is really a spiritual state, right? It's a spiritual state that you go into. This thing is a reality. It's a real thing. And I feel like maybe because I'm older than your viewers or than the young people listening, and I've done so much of this work, I can say to you, it is the real deal. It is the real deal. The magic is, where the magic happens is in the vortex, right? But where the magic happens for you is where you are managing your emotions. So the emotionally intelligent person, I think at one stage, not long ago, we spoke about this, you and I. An emotionally intelligent person has more skill than the person who's got a high IQ. You know,
You spoke to me about it. Yeah, I
the
remember
person
this
with an
conversation.
intelligence quotient that is very high is
Uh-huh.
not necessarily, can be, but not necessarily as smart and savvy as the person who is emotionally intelligent. So the person who seeks for other ways to fill holes in their life is not managing their emotions. They are slaves to their emotions. You know, and I found I've got an addiction as well. I overeat, you know, and I eat a lot of sweets, right? And since I've been just managing my emotions, meaning I'm in the moment, meaning I'm living each moment fully because I'm too afraid to go down the scale. I'm afraid to go down the scale. I don't want to go down the scale. I want to be on top of the, you know, my emotional, I want to balance my emotions. Because I don't want to go down there, I find I'm not eating sweets like I normally do. I'm not eating sweets like I normally do. And I feel like
Okay.
now, when you said, ma'am, can we have this talk on Facebook? I was so excited because for the first time in my life, something works. There's a philosophy of goal
That's
setting, of doing
powerful.
things that is powerful and that works for me because literally I have felt like, you know, sugar is as addictive as they say heroin. And I felt like when I see a cake, I must have it, even if I'm full. I've eaten. If I see a cake, I must have the cake, and I
I
end up
know that
buying
feeling.
loads. Yes, and I don't know if you remember, I always had sweets at school.
You
I
always
could eat
had
always.
sweets, man.
Right. And some people ask me, why are you always eating? So you're always eating. I haven't had this need to eat consistently since I've learned about the vortex and my emotions and about believing. The receiving part obviously is the part that is the most heartwarming when you see how you go, the goal that you've set, right? The goal of driving and having your own car when you're 18, 19. When you see this goal materializing, you see small things happening. You know, there'll be an advert on Facebook that offers driving lessons for free to young people, maybe. You know, and you'll see all these little things start happening in your life as your goals are starting to materialize. And it's the most amazing feeling. That's another amazing feeling, right? Um, but it is that middle thing, that believing thing. That's where life happens. You know, that's where life happens. That's where you have to manage your emotions. And that's all you have to do, Charlton. Manage your emotions. And like I said, let's be practical about
Manage
this.
your emotions.
What do I need to do beside managing my emotions? I need to keep my eye on the goal, you know, begin with the end in mind,
Stay focused. Stay
stay
focused.
focused. So
Yep.
if you listen to every successful person in the world, you know, the billionaires of the world, the property tycoons, the superstars like Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez, who listen to their philosophy of life, they go for their dreams, they go for their goals, and they keep their eye on the goal. And so, how do they do it? It's not easy because life is
Yeah.
the part of belief, the believing part of the process is is overwhelming sometimes. However, if you've got it down, you know, if you've got it down, such a cool way to say
You got it
it,
down.
you've got it down, then it's so easy. And so this is what I wish for each of your viewers, your listeners, that they get this way of doing things down. And if we all start to manage our emotions, we'll all live fuller lives. And we all just know that we have a right to it. You know, even the poorest person. So it's
Have the
easy when
right
you
to it.
are, you know, it's easy when you have everything, Charlton, when you are wealthy, you know, when you are, you have it all, when you're a Kardashian. It's easy. But if you listen to their story, it's the same as this. It's about believing and about striving. And the strife, on a last note, very important. When you're striving, when you are fighting for your goal, it mustn't be laced with negativity. It mustn't feel like effort. You must do it with passion. The minute you feel like, yo, this is hard, this is like really hard, then you are putting a block. You're creating a challenge,
You're
which
putting a block between that line, man. That line has to be,
right,
in agreement with each other.
right. So you mustn't put any blocks in the flow. It's like a current that's flowing. Don't put a rock in there. Don't put a boulder in there. Just let that current flow all the time. And so it's important that there will be effort. You can ask any successful person, there will be effort. The drug addict, there will be effort
Yep.
to stay on that high, And but now now you all know it's quite easy to stay on that high. You must just remember there's a payoff. And the payoff is I will get the things I want. If I'm negative, I won't get the things I want.
Yep.
I won't get it. It's not going to come. It might come later on in my life. I don't want it to come later on in my life. I want it to come sooner,
Yep. You want to
So
enjoy it while
you want
you're
to enjoy
around.
your life. And don't let anybody tell you must cry crocodile tears or you must cry a river to achieve your goals. No, it's not so difficult. It's not as difficult as that. And so for the person who comes from poverty and from illness and from, the big tragedies in life, person who comes from a really tragic situation or background, they have the same access that we have, that all of us have, And
I think that's
I've been a
amazing.
single parent for 12 years. Your mom's been a single parent.
Yep.
It's not easy.
No,
And
not at all.
I wish I knew 12 years ago what I know now. That had I regulated my emotions, kept my eye on my goals, and my goals will shift. They're not going to stay the same all the time, And that is the wonderful thing about life. The moment you come into this world, even a baby, they cry, they want more of that milk. They don't want that milk. They don't want that purity. They don't want carrots. They want peaches,
Yeah.
So we're constantly shifting our goals. We're constantly saying to God, I like a white car. I prefer white car to a black car. So God, if I have a car one day, let it be white. So we're constantly shifting our goals and constantly making choices. That's the beauty of life, because we have this entire universe to choose from. So earlier on, I said to my son, I think I need earrings. And he said, it's too late. Charlton is going to be on. And then I said, just get the earrings because I think I need earrings. So it's like constantly we're shifting our goals, but not too far away from exactly what it is you want. So I found that my addiction to sugar is much less now. And I don't even enjoy sweets that much anymore. Right? And it's all because I've discovered the vortex. I've discovered the emotional guidance scale, and I've discovered there are tools you can use. Visualization. Grade 12 learn about visualization, life orientation, where you visualize your goal, where you visualize you're on a beach in the Bahamas, where you visualize it, to align yourself with it. There are things like
That's important.
meditation. There's prayer. There are gratitude journals, there's something called the smile. When you smile, you actually brighten up everything around you when you smile a lot.
Yeah.
Smiling is a big thing. And then smiling in your heart, when you walk around with a smile in your heart and you feel love for others, these are all ways in which you can get into the vortex and stay there. And I find that nobody upsets me anymore. Nobody. Literally nobody.
That's
I'm
awesome.
so chilled. Yeah, I'm so chilled. And I'm excited when I have to do things. Like with this, I didn't do a lot of preparation. I told you I didn't want to make myself nervous. I wanted to speak from my heart. So I find I'm operating from a heart space more.
Nice.
All
And that's
because of
very
a
important
vortex.
also. That's very important also. Miss Mohamed, Guys, we are on the lituation. We are still kicking and going. This interview has been so interesting. We've touched on so many different aspects. Miss Mama, there's a couple of more people that are in the comments over there. Do you mind me reading some to you? There's one from Humleli Jonga. He says, we need more teachers like this. So that's a very, very big compliment, I feel, over there. We got Fasiha Jatim saying amazing teacher and human being with a heart and hands lifted in the air. So, I think that's also awesome. You're getting so much love tonight, Miss Mohammed. I totally agree with these people. I feel like you have so much spiritual knowledge that you also bring forth to the table, and it's not only about education. And I can only imagine the impact that you're making in the classroom, on a daily basis when you are in the classroom with your learners and whoever you come into contact with. So big ups to Fasiha there for the comment. We got Mr. Van Rensburg in the comments as well. He's like ex-colleague of mine, best allo educator in Ishe. She's absolutely excellent. Thanks, Najma, for who you are. School management material. And then he made another comment saying the interviewer, one of my ex-learners, a proud ex-principal. So I think we both got a compliment over there. But that was for you, Miss Mohammed. He's saying that you are absolutely excellent. Oh, people are full of comments today.
Yeah, so Fasiha Jatib is my niece, and she's a teacher as well.
Oh.
Yeah, and Mr. Van Rensburg is a wonderful mentor to this day. I have a new principal, Mr. Tommy. I get along well with him. I respect him. Mr. Van Rensburg's like a dad, and you know that.
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Van Rensburg was like your dad. Yes.
Yep.
And and to this day, he asks me, how are you? How are your sons? To this day, he's looks out for me.
Awesome, ma'am. That was all the comments. That's all the comments that we're having there, guys. Thank you so much to everybody that's been hopping into the comments. It's been awesome. I have one more over there from a young man that I've also been working with not too long ago. He is in grade 12 and he also jumped on. He said, I'm listening, ma'am. Seems a very great qualified teacher. You seem to be a very grateful qualified teacher. I think that's what he meant to say. So, ma'am, this is his question. So, ma'am, how did you get this passion of being a teacher? I think he must start in the beginning of the interview just a little bit. But yeah, and he also says, please encourage us who have the aim to do. Please encourage us who have the aim of doing teaching. And what advice do you have?
Yeah. So what advice? Teaching is a lot of hard work. But now that we all know about the vortex, nothing is hard anymore, right? Nothing is hard anymore. Once you know that you can walk with God and that you can be in his light, nothing is hard. But teaching is challenging. There's a lot of work when you start teaching. A young teacher wants to make their mark. I don't think you have the time to make your mark. You're basically just looking for resources and you're trying to manage large classes. But learners, this is the amazing thing about working with children, they can see right beyond the facade, right beyond the exterior that you show them. Yeah. So they will quickly pick up that you don't manage discipline and kindness. You don't create that fine balance between discipline and kindness. You have to be disciplined, but you have to, in the class with your learners, you have to enforce discipline, but you also have to be kind. They need to know that this is a human being who loves me and wants the best for me. Children need to know that. They need to know their teachers love them. They need to know their teachers see that their unique abilities and characteristics, and their teachers recognize them as individuals. So all those things, it's hard, but it's very gratifying. It's something that I think you can't live without once you're a teacher. You don't want to not be in a classroom once you're a teacher. And it can go with you during holidays, and I miss my learners. I miss the interaction with them.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But it's a lot of work. You mark a lot. You do a lot of preparation. But with time, it actually gets so easy. We'll have issues with this marking, but I wish I could have. I wish I could have a teacher aide just doing all my marking. But basically, it
Uh-huh.
is one of the most gratifying jobs under the sun. Yeah,
Nice. Okay,
not
Christopher,
lots
I
of
hope.
money,
Uh,
not lots of money.
okay, Christopher, I hope you got your
We
answer
earn
over
small
there, young
salaries.
man. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hopefully there will be a raise after this. I feel like you deserve so much more, miss. You have so much knowledge, so much energy, such a good heart, such a good perspective. Still to this day, I am 7 years older than I was the last time that I've seen you in school. And you are still the amazing person that you are. I want to thank you so much for the all the nuggets that you've dropped. Thus far in this interview and all the guidance and all of the tips. Most importantly, I would like to thank you for bringing a spiritual aspect to this goal setting. I feel like I've always been trying to find a way to kind of link the two without it being too spiritual. And to be honest, I think you just knocked me out of the park. You just knocked me right out of the park with this one. I think you've done an excellent job of linking the two up together. I've always been thinking, literally always been thinking of how am I going to link these two together, because I think they do work together. Some things we want to achieve in our lives, we have goals, we have dreams, we have aspirations, and I feel like that spiritual aspect is very important. And bringing that to the table is very important as well for young people specifically. I want them to know as well, like you said, it can be any goal. If you want to have a good looking report at the end of this year, if you want to be a better person in managing your emotions better, for those bullies out there, for the people who are actually dishing out the bullying, and for those that are receiving it, if you want to have an emotionally strong 2021, I feel like there's so much things that you can do spiritually that will help you get there. And I feel like that people come from hurt as well. Those people that are going through those tough emotions, they come from that place of hurt, man. There's so much happening. So I feel like if you do put in a spiritual side to things, it just makes the world of a difference. But the thing is, you have to walk the journey. I feel if you don't walk that journey, if you don't go through the belief part, the asking part for me is the easiest, because you can ask. But it's the belief part for me that I feel like that's where the journey is, and that's where you have to stay strong. That's where you have to stick it out. That's where you have to learn. And by the time you receive your goal, that, or you receive whatever you were looking for, I feel like that's that moment of, it's not me. I didn't do it coming from myself. I didn't work 12 hours and got this thing. It wasn't only that, there was a spiritual aspect involved as well. So Miss Mohamed, I want to thank you so much for that knowledge that you've dropped over there so much. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the audience appreciated it so much as well. Any last words, ma'am?
Thank you, Charlton. I actually figure you got it.
Mhm.
You understand it. And you know what? It's the spiritual element of life is not important. It is life. Anybody who denies it is probably going to be floating and bobbing up and down in the ocean their whole
Drifting.
lives.
Yep.
It is a part of life. It is life. That spiritual connection is life. And the reason we do things like go off the path, we do drugs, we do all sorts of things that harm us, is because we want to deny the spiritual aspect of life. Life is spirituality, and
Mhm.
you actually get it. And I'm so glad you get it, which means that your viewers would get it. So I wish for you all the success with the lituation.
Thank you so much,
And
ma'am.
yeah, and I think you come from a place of love. You come from a place of love. You've had it always, and that is why you're such an attractive person on so many levels, because you have it. You have that thing, and so I
Thank you,
wish you
ma'am.
the best. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
You are welcome. Thank you for saying yes. I thought you would be super busy, because I know this year is going to be packed for a lot of teachers, and it's the beginning of the year. I know how it goes sometimes. So thank you for putting out time. I know it's your Sunday also. This is your chill time. Thank you for making that time available, for the Lituation and for me as well, to get this valuable content out there. There's a Faiza Williams that also said, I really enjoyed it. We'll put it in place. I assume that she's speaking about the goal
Wonderful.
setting as well. So, I feel like that was perfect. I feel like this interview also went very nicely, and thank you so much, Miss. I also want to wish you a very successful year this year. Whatever goals you have as a teacher and as as yourself, whoever you're coming in touch with this year, I pray that blessings all the way, Miss. I pray that you have a smooth ride, throughout this year, and then everything will go your way.
Thank you, Charlton, and to all those families that have been afflicted by the COVID pandemic in a very bad way. We wish them the best. We wish them the best and the best recovery. And guys, just remember, get into the vortex.
Awesome, guys. That was Miss Mohamed.
Miss,
thank you so much. Don't forget to get into the vortex, guys, and get your spiritual side going, whichever religion you are and wherever you come from. Miss Mohamed, thank you so much for being a part of the Lituation. We will definitely have another interview sometime if you do have time for that. And we will definitely hop in again and have another conversation. I'm sure you're going to have testimonies and experiences throughout this time. By the time we get back to it, there will definitely be more stories to share. So until that time, Miss, you must have an awesome evening.
God bless. God bless. Bye, guys.
See you. Bye. Okay, guys. So that was Miss Najma Mohamed over there on the Lituation. Thank you so much to everybody that's been in the comments, man. I really, really appreciate this. I've never seen the comments this full. Thank you to Nazli Ishmael. Thank you to Mpoke Kana for the comments. Thank you to Gerard Ploy. Thank you to Lily Jonga, Fasiha, Jatim, Mr. Van Rensburg over there. Also, thank you to Christopher. And thank you to Faiza Williams also for the comments, man. I really hope that something was learned. I've definitely learned something this evening. I'm super, I'm going to have some homework, man. I'm going to have some things to change up, some things to look forward to, also this is the Lituation, bringing goal setting situations to light. I feel like this was a super lit evening, having a conversation with an educator who has so many years of experience, and he's still finding different ways of setting goals. And it's a journey, man. Life is a journey. Not everything is perfect when you come through, starting off something or choosing out a career path, man. It's not easy. It's not something that you can just, walk into freely. It's a journey, and sometimes journeys get tough, sometimes journeys get long, but journeys are always fun. They're always adventurous, and there's so much that happens there. Thank you so much again for tuning into the Lituation. Please tune in to the Lituation South Africa on our YouTube channel. It is still new. Please check out the content that's over there. You will catch this video over there as well, this interview with Ms. Najma Mohamed as well, and loads more content that we are trying to push. Also, if you guys are interested in following us on our social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok, all the content and all the links and everything will be attached in this live video as soon as, I think, as late as tomorrow. I'll hook it up and make sure that it's there. Please follow us on social media. Please share the Lituation. And also, if you know of anybody that has goal setting techniques and really wants to share it, ask them to inbox the Lituation. If that's you, also inbox the Lituation, and let's have a conversation and find out what techniques you are using to set goals, and maybe that technique can help somebody else also to achieve goals and results in their life, man. This is 2021. We are trying to achieve goals. We're trying to do, the best out there that we can, not only for ourselves, but for our communities as well, for our country. There's so much happening. There's so much happening in our country alone, and across the world. I feel like there's so much things that we can do as a community, setting goals as communities, setting goals as individuals, setting goals as businesses, setting goals as schools, as education institutes. There are so many of us, and I feel like there's so many things that we can do also just to make it lighter on our country, man, and make it lighter on people there that are in need also. So, guys, that was me, Charlie, the G.O.A.L Digger. Until next time, I will catch you. Have an awesome evening.